So today we are responding to a little video that I found interesting that ended up in my feed somehow. So it is a journalistic piece by Brute. I have no idea what they are, although I have to say they have not been injecting themselves too much into the conversation, and whenever the narrator injected himself, they didn't add anything, so to speak. So for the purposes of letting your interviewee talk, I guess it does the job. So, as you can see the title, inside a leftist gun group. Naturally, it piqued my interest, and I decided to slap together a quick reaction video because if V can do low production quality, why can't I? Especially since my VTuber is a full head and shoulders better than the troll. So let's go.
Guns are intensely political.
Okay, this is fluff. I'm not... Take note of how this man operates the slide, because this is going to be an important point later.
Right-wing firearms apparatus. It doesn't...
Wait, okay, I'm going to stop you right the fuck here, bucko. What buzzwords did he use there?
White-dominated right-wing...
White-dominated right-wing arms apparatus. What is that apparatus? Can someone please outline the components of that apparatus or its function? Genuine question. I know the answer is likely going to be bad, but I'd like to see you try.
Firearms apparatus. It doesn't make them
Who was they, though?
feel safer for us to have guns.
If you mean them, as in current gun culture, we don't give a fuck. As long as you have to jump through the same hoops as we do, we don't really care. On the contrary, the more the merrier, because the more people partake, the more there's going to be demand, the more there's going to be infrastructure for us to partake in the hobby. And maybe, just maybe, if more people engage in the hobby, we'll be able to, I don't know, maybe get rid of gun grabber politicians. So, sounds like a net positive to me, but keep going.
Why do you think they think you're radical?
I just noticed that 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 dust cover over there. Fuck around and find out. I love it. I'm not sure I'm gonna go as far as actually look for one, but I may want to have that put onto my gun. Although now that I think about it, if that comes up as court evidence, do I really want it on there? Yeah, maybe not. Maybe if I have a dedicated sporting rifle at some point, I might do that.
Why do you think they think you're...
Also, I'm going to be stopping this a lot. This is a fairly Gucci gun. So this is a very nice optic. I'm going to say it's definitely no cheaper than 300 bucks. Aero precision mil spec lower. These range from anywhere between 130 to 200, depending on where you're buying. Standard, I'm gonna assume Magpul stock. The charging handle, I can't quite attribute, but the guardrail looks, the upper looks Gucci as well. I'm gonna guess, I shouldn't, maybe it's Midwest Industry? I don't know. I don't have the attention span to Google it. But this is a very well put together firearm, and the foregrip, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it's Magpul. But this is an expensive piece of hardware, which is what I'm getting at here.
You're radical. Because he looks like this. Yeah, and I look like this.
It creates a different balance of power.
A balance of power in what, my friendo? What do you intend to do with your newfound power? Please enlighten me. Do you mayhaps plan to fuck around and find out?
Gun sales in America reached record highs at the beginning of the pandemic and have continued after ongoing political and racial violence across the country has...
See, now I like the fact that they don't inject an opinion here. Like, so far, like, this person here is basically just a person behind the camera. He's giving you the preamble of the story. Yes, there was politically charged and racial violence throughout the riots, so I can't argue with that. It's also The video correctly attributes the group as being a leftist group, not a liberal group, because leftists are not liberals. So yeah, well done.
Has led more Americans to question their own safety. For Brute, I'm taking you to Houston, Texas to meet up with Flight Risk, the founder of Arm Your Friends.
Okay, notice this man's face is very clearly in frame throughout the entire video. It's going to be important later.
Growing leftist and BIPOC gun organization that is training underserved communities how to use firearms.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call bullshit. Unless you're actually giving people firearms to train with, these are not underserved communities. Like an AR is an expensive piece of hardware. If you can afford one and take it from someone who had to save up, I'm fairly well off. I can't impulse buy a brand new AR. So, not to mention the accoutrement that comes with it. So yeah, I'm gonna call bullshit on that. Boom! Point right there. This is something that the dude does several times, and it pisses me off to no end. First of all, that is not how you cycle around, because you're not supposed to use your optic as leverage unless it's an emergency and you don't have your other hand. Like, you can use that against a surface or against your clothes if you don't have the use of your other arm. I assume, I'm going to go ahead and be mean, I assume he just lacks the pinching strength to use the serrations on the slide to rack it correctly. I'm going to go ahead and say it. My man finna lacks grip strength. I assume he has one of those Soylent bottle openers. But yeah, not a good look. Not a good look so far. See, he did that again. He uses his optic as additional leverage on the slide.
One reason why most of our team, we go by call signs on the internet and we made up our goofy nicknames is because most of us have careers that aren't related to firearms or self-defense or anything political at all. We have to make sure that we're at least a little bit insulated and that our identities are protected.
Okay, my dude, your face is in frame. You finna doxed yourself. If anybody goes to look, that's pretty much it. They are a few steps away from finding your power word. And with how public some of your personal information is in the US, like, it's not that easy to find not that hard to find your employer. Like, you're really not selling the fiction here. Like, I have to use a VTuber to say the shit I want to say, because maybe, just maybe, the only people who are rabid enough to actually pursue someone they don't agree with politically are fucking leftists. So please drop the James Bond LARPing and just have fun with guns, my dude.
Just to, keep our loved ones safe, keep our places of work, out of all this. Because what seems normal to us is simply being like a person of color in the ways that you choose to interact.
I actually genuinely believe that someone at his place of work would cause shit over him engaging in the hobby. Like, I find that completely believable, and it's more likely that his place of work, which actually sort of brings me back to the fact of, my dude, why are you on camera? But I believe that his place of occupation, be it like a pre-Musk Twitter, Facebook, or a Slack, for example. I think they have an outfit in Houston. But one of those places may have a real problem with you engaging in the hobby. That's why, for example, I'm very happy that in Texas, unlike California, we don't have our carry license registries leaked. But I digress.
With the world is inherently political.
I'm gonna make it a little louder.
No, I'm toast of anyone related to my job.
Also, can I just roll it back a little bit?
Anything political at all.
Like, my dude, you can afford a fairly Gucci'd out AR. You can afford a Glock, an FD Glock. I'm gonna say 19, maybe 17. uh, based on the fact that you struggle with the recoil spring, buy yourself a weapons mat. I mean, my man, they're like $30 a piece if you're going extra, if you want the little tool tray. Don't just have a spread on your standing desk. Come the fuck on, be consistent.
And the ways that you choose to interact with the world is inherently political.
That I'm gonna call bullshit. Disabuse yourself from the Marxist progressive stack and be normal, and then suddenly your actions stop being political. Although, then again, you can choose to be political with your actions. I'm fairly politically spicy in what I do and say. And I think as proactive citizens, we should at least dip our toe into being politically active. But it's a choice. Dude, you are not being forced into it by any means. You chose to be a regressive leftist, and you chose to make it your primary identity. Please don't big it up.
Much better. No, I'm toast if anyone related to my job like sees this. I need
Yep.
to be careful because everything that we say is on the record.
The fuck can you say?
Remember,
Okay, I'm gonna stop right here. The fuck can you say that can realistically, so outside of, yes, if you work in a leftist company, you might get a talking to from HR that you own guns and you engage in the hobby, yada yada yada. But then again, if you tell them the leftist backstory, you might actually get a pat on the back for that. But regardless, but other than that, the fuck do you expect to say that somebody is gonna go after you? Like, I would like to hear an example. Because you're not of the political persuasion that gets people in trouble in the current year.
stay in flight, be gay, do crimes. It's the motto.
Okay, I have issue with the do crimes part of it. Not good messaging for gun owners. If you are a felon, you can no longer own a firearm. Agree or disagree with that particular item. It's very important. That's sort of the crux of the argument of legal gun ownership. We stay the fuck out of trouble. We respect the laws, regardless of how fucking stupid they are, precisely to differentiate ourselves from the criminal element that's going to be unregulated because it's the criminal element.
Got the Arm Your Friends Medusa head patch on the kit, as well as the Clan Buster patch, just so people know what I'm about. Y'all ready to roll?
What are you about, my dude? Like, please point at a pro-clan person in today's America. Like, find me that one. Okay, I'm gonna narrow it down a little bit. The pro-clan person who isn't in an asylum right now. Like, someone who is not batshit insane.
What you see there is a Punisher skull in the American flag theme,
Okay.
which is kind of a symbol of, I guess, right-wing militancy.
Bullshit. Bullshit. First of all, that is a Marvel trademark. I can't imagine anyone being more leftist than Marvel, especially today. Second of all, the Punisher skull is more of a symbol of martial prowess. That's sort of the atmosphere, especially of early Punisher, especially like my deepest exposure to the Punisher was the Punisher game, which was hella fun. I should play that on stream sometimes. But the point of the Punisher is that he is an extremely competent one-man unit. He is self-reliant, and he uses violence to great success to right the wrongs of the world. That is what the Punisher patch is all about. It has fucking nothing to do with the right wing, because the right wing doesn't own the concept of righteous might.
Of course, any symbol means a lot of things to a lot of people, but it's kind of been co-opted as a right-wing symbol.
No, it has not.
Oh, nice.
That is actually a
We
nice
like
store.
to talk about ourselves as being like the future of the gun culture. I thought Arm Your Friends would be a good way to like really serve as
Wait, hold the fuck up. When was this recorded? Sorry, I just spotted this. Is that are those fucking are those is that fucking Russian ammo in frame? What the fuck?
culture. I
Okay,
thought
never
Army Friends
mind.
would be a good way to like really serve as a bridge for everyone who is turned off by like the ultra right leaning, super Republican, like NRA dominated conversation about.
Let me talk to you about the fucking NRA, because I have a few pet peeves with that particular organization. Let's roll back and go through the checklist of buzzwords first, and then I'm gonna zoom in on the fucking NRA real quick.
Really serve as a bridge for everyone who is turned off by like the ultra right leaning, super Republican, like NRA dominated conversation about.
Okay, super right wing. I'm gonna call bullshit on that right the fuck away. This is a telltale sign of that in this person's head, everybody I don't agree with is right wing. Now, if you had actually examined the gun space, you would notice that the absolute majority of the gun space are actually libertarians, very consistently libertarians. I would even say centrist libertarians. Because, let me tell you, Bubba, the gun community doesn't like any side of the aisle fucking with our guns. We very specifically dislike attempts to regulate, to catalog, or to limit our gun rights, or the attempts of the ATF to fuck with our property, or attempt to regulate it in any way. That is definitionally a libertarian standpoint. I'm drinking yesterday's tea. I'm running low. So, fuck you in particular. Second of all, what was the other one? NRA dominated. The fucking NRA has done very little to help the current gun community. It is very absent from the current conversation, not in the least because it is very bankrupt, despite the fact that it primarily exercises in collecting money. That's their primary talking point. I think John Cornine is a fucking member of the NRA. I forget. Yes, fence sitter fucking turncoat Cornine. Because I guess both the NRA and Cornine practice the art of the possible, and I guess other arts they learn in cocksucker school. But let's see the actual impact of the NRA. So they backed the passage of the National Firearms Act, the very same fucking document that attempted to register all handguns in circulation, the very same piece of legislation that unconstitutionally taxes the Second Amendment. Like, I'm getting a and I will have to pay for 2 separate tax stamps on a right just because I want it in a specific configuration. You can try and argue about the cans, and you will be wrong. Because in the ATF's own words, suppressors are not bearable arms and therefore are not covered by the Bruin decision. But in the same breath, they insist that they are bearable arms and they have to regulate them. Go figure. But SBRs should not even be in the NFA because they were originally included into the NFA in order to prevent people creating SBRs to circumvent a ban on handguns, which didn't make it into the final document. Therefore, why the fuck are SBRs still regulated?
No. If you put a legit stock on it, it turns the pistol into a rifle and a felony.
The NRA backed the NFA. They've backed the inclusion of machine guns into the NFA at a later point. So, yeah, that'll put you on my shit list real easy. Well, modern automatic weapons, to be specific. And they also backed the GCA, which was also not a great document. Although, not all bad. Like, the NRA did accidentally do a few things right, and donating to Democrats is not one of them. But, okay, let's go through the positives. So they backed the Firearms Ownership Protection Act. The primary benefit of that is protections for people transporting their firearms, although still, the way that is worded is extremely cucked. Like, the only way you're allowed to transport your firearm in less permissive jurisdictions is unloaded in a locked box away from direct access, which renders it useless in a self-defense scenario. That's not a weapon that's going to be useful unless you are actually the one planning violence. And the Protection of Lawful Commerce Act, because yes, so for once the NRA actually did something useful, because the Protection of Lawful Commerce Act is a genuinely useful piece of legislation, although it seems to not be working recently because gun grabbers backed by, I'm going to say, Bloomberg. I think it's mostly Bloomberg's money that's currently spinning that particular circus, are still filing frivolous lawsuits in the attempt to bankrupt gun manufacturers. So even in the one thing they did right, they managed to not really have it be effective. And they have, by proxy, and I'm going to say accidentally, launched Colion Noir as a gun personality, so I guess that's good. So this has been my TED Talk on the fucking NRA. Oh yeah, and by the way, they have made no attempts, fucking zero, nil, nada, no attempts to repeal the NFA or limit the authority of the ATF in recent years, which are kind of a big asks from the gun community at this point. So until the NRA, who holds a lot of money in antique machine guns, and that's why they will never attempt to legalize machine guns for civilian purchase, until such time that they actually get with the program, they are forever on my shit list. Please continue.
Like firearms.
Flight said the owner told him that yesterday they got 2 calls telling them not to let Arm Your Friends train here because they were too radical and that they were extremist.
They told me about it today, saying, hey, y'all better go watch your backs. There's some people trying to cancel your events.
Okay, I'm gonna call bullshit because that sounds like a leftist strategy. That's what usually leftards do whenever there's someone talking out loud that they disagree with. So I'm gonna say, yeah, that's the same as the death threats on Anita Sarkeesian's Twitter back in the day. Like, I'm gonna say that shit's made up. Or please go ahead and name and shame the people that do that. I would like to know, and I would like to call them the fuck out, because that's not the way to do things. No, 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 no. You do not. You fucking don't try and bar people from entering the hobby.
Like, knowing that we live in people's heads, like, rent-free, like, you get to live there.
I don't think you live rent-free in your mom's head.
The more people, like, react to what you're doing, it means you're having an impact.
Also, I have literally heard nothing about this group until I saw this video in my recommended tab. I doubt people are actively aware of you. Just saying.
Like, and you're inspiring people to care about what you're doing one way or the other.
Why do you think they think you're radical?
I feel like...
Because you say you are? That's part of your messaging.
Because he looks like this. Yeah. And I look like this.
Well, okay, so calm the fuck down. Not with roof Koreans being a fixture of gun culture, very much admired by gun owners. There is no way on this blue earth that an Asian person feels ostracized from the gun community. No, no. Roof Koreans are Chads. Everybody knows that they are Chads, and we prayed for the return of the Roof Koreans during the 2020 riots. So, fuck you.
I feel like people are afraid of what they don't understand, and we target people who the firearms industry, community, world is trying to keep out.
How is the firearm industry trying to keep people out? Please point me to an event, to an actual case of the firearms industry telling someone, no, please don't bring me your money. I call extreme bullshit on that. That is not something that has happened ever.
So when we're removing those barriers, we're like changing.
What fucking barriers? So with the exception of the money that it costs to purchase and then operate a firearm, what are the fucking barriers? Go to the range, train. If your own self-taught training is not sufficient, and it's not, pay for more training. The fuck is your actual problem?
what their world looks like.
And suddenly that's a problem.
Like more black people getting involved, more Asian people getting involved,
Good.
Hispanics, Latinos,
Good.
people with like leftist center political views, or people.
Again, if they're genuine center and left of center people, I am left of center. Like in the old world, I would have been considered left of center because I don't get with the, hardline evangelist Republican Bible toting program. I am of the fuck off and leave me alone persuasion. That is very much left of center, but I'm guessing these folks would classify me as right wing.
Just view current issues differently than the monolith of the firearms industry.
There is no fucking monolith of the firearms industry. Fuck you. No, there is not a fucking monolith. That's it. There are separate companies that are in competition with each other. It would be nice if they could compete more freely without the ATF being up their ass. It would be nice if FFLs could function without the ATF being constantly up their ass. It would be nice if the gun owner community could function without the same fucking ATF being up our ass. That's the only thing that we mostly agree on. So we all agree on the ATF can go fuck themselves and suck a bag of dicks. But once you start discussing anything starting from guns, makes, calibers, carry styles, anything else, no, it turns into a fucking bloodbath.
And our mission of like bringing those people in, like if that's extreme to you, you're not ready for the future, because this is what the future looks like.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Because people like this have always existed, and they've wanted to become trained, take charge of their self-defense, but the industry has left them out of the conversation.
How has the industry left these people out of the conversation? And who are these people? Because if you're gonna go ahead and try to persuade me that the black community, the Hispanic community has been left out of gun culture, okay, off the top of my head, the top gun tubers that I watch are Colion Noir. I don't think he needs an introduction. Masad Ayub, Brandon Herrera. Doesn't really sound like a core white hillbilly name to me. And of course, Flannel Daddy, who has transcended race and ethnicity and is just better than all of us. No, you're wrong there, friendo. And the only thing that actually attempts to gatekeep stuff is I'm gonna assume you guys. I very much doubt that you welcome people of a different political persuasion into your little circle jerk.
And suddenly now we want to provide a space for them to be a part of that. Suddenly that's a problem somehow.
That is not a problem. Literally, please go to the range. Like, this is my message to anyone. If any of those imaginary gate-kept people exist and happen upon my video, please buy a gun, train every day, carry every day.
Why is that a problem?
Because it's not, you've imagined it.
Yeah, a problem we have had in the past is there's been calls to report the firearms that we own legally as stolen to try to get us in trouble with law enforcement. So
that is a genuinely asshole move. Please never do that. I've actually been told about that. And again, that sounds like a leftist tactic. It's almost as if your conventional mainstream gun tubers have had that happen to them. It's the reason why I had to take down my ASMR gun cleaning stream, because my Glock serial number was in plain view. I'm gonna go ahead and call bullshit on this one, but just in case, I'm gonna say disavow. Please don't report other people's serial numbers for any reason.
we tried our best to not show our gun serial numbers so that apples on the internet don't mark it as stolen or report it as stolen.
I mean, it's not hard to do. You just put some electrical tape over the exposed serial numbers. As long as you're not disassembling the gun in plain view, you should be fine.
It took me like a year to buy.
Safety is going to be priority number one here. We are doing some janky hood rat stuff out here today, so we'll make sure that no one leaves with any holes that they did not arrive with. Cool?
This may be just a stylistic choice, but somehow I'm not cool with the program being described as janky hood rat shit when I go to a range. Like, gun safety is very much the opposite of that, but you do you, boo.
Years ago, I realized I wanted to, be in control of my own self-defense.
Don't look at the camera when you're dry firing. Mask at the range, my man. come the fuck on.
We came up with the idea
Mask at an outdoor range. Dude.
of turning it into a group during the protest during summer of 2020.
Riot of 2020.
George Floyd being from Houston, Houston had a huge turnout for his memorial protests and celebrations of life here in the
Okay, let me get this out of the way right the fuck now. George Floyd died of a fentanyl overdose after he was being rightfully detained for trying to pay with a counterfeit, I think it was a $20 or a $10 bill, but effectively still violation of legal tender. The knee was not on his neck. The position in which he was restrained did not contribute any sort of asphyxiation. That and it was not the cause of death. It was not murder. That trial was a circus. It was a kangaroo court. The dude was a recidivist and a drug addict and died of a fentanyl overdose. If you disagree, fuck you.
city. But where you saw HPD come out the strongest was with rubber bullets, crowd control.
Would you have preferred that they used live ammunition?
Getting people off the street with horses.
Yes, because if you start a riot and you're not doing so in San Francisco or some other trashy place, you fuck around, you finna find out.
And that was like a really...
I am not a fan of everything the police does. I'm just saying that that particular case was kind of motivated because we have seen chuckle fucks that marched with the very same slogans erupt into extremely violent behavior. Targets now have armored windows for some reason. I wonder, something must have happened.
Radicalizing moment for Arm Your Friends. You have no power.
There you go. Radicalizing moment for Arm Your Friends. So nobody is actually referring to you as radicals. Part of the reason being nobody is referring to you full stop, but that's besides the point. You term yourselves as having been radicalized.
To tell them to do anything, yet their badges will say to protect and serve you, but it's really protect and serve who?
The people who are not currently rioting and attempting to burn down a target. I'm gonna go ahead and say that's a valiant mission statement.
Are you carrying right now?
No. I'm not carrying right now.
Pussy.
Because I don't want trouble with the police. It's
I call bullshit.
not worth it on a Sunday.
What the fuck is so special on a Sunday? You are in Texas. Wait, when was this video made? 9 months ago. So within 2022. Yes, within 2022. How the fuck do you plan to get into trouble with police over a concealed carried handgun? Is your handgun illegal? Then why are you in frame with a firearm? I doubt you are a felon because you obviously work in some swanky left-wing IT company. So you obviously can legally own these firearms. What the fuck is the issue? For those of you who are not in the know, Texas is a constitutional carry state. You can open carry here on public property. There are very few ways someone can realistically bar you from carrying your firearm, especially when you're carrying concealed. And you don't even need a concealed carry permit for that. So what sort of trouble are you expecting to get into, my friend? Even if you don't have a concealed carry permit, which is reasonably easy to come by. Like, it's not a very convoluted process. It just takes a while and requires some monetary investment to do so. So yes, I would like to hear someone explain to me what sort of trouble does he want to avoid in Houston fucking Texas on a Sunday for some reason specifically. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that he is just too lazy to be consistent with his concealed carry. Like, he doesn't carry every day. And if you don't carry every day, you might as well not carry. If you own a weapon, doesn't have to be a firearm, depending on your legal circumstance. If you live in a non-country that doesn't allow you to have bearable arms, it is your duty as someone who has armed himself to be a proxy of justice, to maintain order, to protect yourself and the people around you from violence, to be ever equipped with your tools. Because if you are not, you might, if there are days when you are not armed, the odds are you're going to need them on a day when you're not, when you don't have your tools with you. You may as well not have them at all. So train every day, carry everywhere you legally can. And in Texas, that's pretty much everywhere, with the exception of federal buildings, schools. I'm going to say schools. I think, yeah. I think schools mostly, non-publicly funded universities, sports venues, polling places, and courthouses. Other than that, it's very hard to bar you from concealed carrying, especially if you have a license to carry.
But I will be carrying as soon as this interview's over.
Yeah, sure, my man, sure.
Flight risk is open to some gun regulations, but he believes that people have the right to defend themselves.
I would like to hear a detailed overview of what gun regulations they would like to see before I voice an opinion on that.
He feels that there will always be guns in America, and so for him, that means buying guns and learning to use them is the safer bet.
Yep, that I agree with that completely. That is a very realistic take. It is delusional to think that you can completely disarm the US with how storied our firearm ownership history is. And attempting to do so will only lead to a situation where the only ones who have firearms are criminals and the state. And that's not a good place to be in, and trust me, I've lived in places that are like that.
Are we more safe with more people being armed?
Yes. So
Based.
we're more safe with more people being armed because it creates a different balance of power. So the conversation about firearms will never be a conversation of should there be guns. The debate that we have about gun control is who will have the guns.
Okay, I'd like to hear what points they have about that particular conversation. I'm not going to go ahead and assume, but so far, yes, I agree with the general sentiment. If more people are armed, it creates a more polite society because you are less likely to try and start shit if you know that the upside of that might be catching a 9mm aspirin.
If you have enough money, all this stuff becomes available to you. So the government, rich people, the elites will always have guns.
Based on your kit, I'm going to say put together it costs around $4,000, not adding in the range time because you seem to rent out an entire range for your group as well. I assume you do that out of pocket. You seem to hold a nice job. Please disabuse yourself from believing that you are not the 1%, because globally you are very much the 1%.
The right of self-defense is something that should be expanded to people, everyday people, working class people.
I'm not going to assume stuff because nothing specific has been said, but that's sort of how our Constitution works. The Second Amendment is inherent. It applies to all people who are in the US legally. You don't really need to extend it to all people in the States because they inherently are covered by the Second Amendment. So if you want to spread it to working class people, I assure you, working class people are real working class people, not you fucking champagne socialist. Real working class people are with the program long before you were born. Are you suggesting we subsidize gun ownership because it's an expensive hobby to engage in? I would rather just pay less taxes and have more money to spend on guns. If I had had the opportunity to keep the money that I paid in just federal income tax, I'm not going to count sales tax and shit like that, I would have had a full panic room equipped by now. That's within the span of 1 year.
Does it have a safety at all?
No.
No. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To be honest, before 2020, I was pretty much anti-gun.
Yeah, you look
every
like that.
time there's like a school shooting or something, I'm like, oh man, what if we like just didn't have guns at all in this country?
Tell me you lack complex thinking without telling me. But also, let me dive into that one a little bit more. So if we didn't have guns at all in this country, I'm not even gonna go into the platitude of a foreign invasion, there's gonna be an AR behind every blade of grass. No, I don't really. It's not that I don't believe in it. I don't think it's the first consequence of not having that. But let's look into stabbings, because mass stabbings are very much a thing. Let's see. Well, So this is just Japan, a notoriously unarmed society. Although, despite firearms being illegal, something happened very recently. I can't quite put my finger on it. Something involving ball bearings. I forget. But yes, firearm incidents are in fact rare in a country that has little to no firearms. The only firearms they have there are Chinese or Soviet contraband, Soviet era contraband, so mostly Tokarevs and Tokarev clones, and whatever is in the possession of the government or stolen from the government, which isn't a lot. But yeah, let's go. Osaka building fire. I'm not sure why it's classified. Oh, list of massacres. Sorry. Okay, so it is a fire that's been caused by someone, but also the point stands. If you can't shoot up a building, you just burn it the fuck down, I guess. 25. Fatality count is 25, consistent with mass shootings. The Kyoani fire, 36 dead, also consistent with kill counts in most mass shootings. The Kawasaki stabbing, 3 dead, so consistent with with the current definition of a mass shooting where 3 or more people are injured, because 18 injured. The Komatsu family murder, killed his wife, 5 children by stabbing, then set the bodies on fire. Wow, imagine being that extra. Sagamihara stabbing, 19 dead, 26 injured. Very much a comparable casualty count to your average mass shooting here in the States. Arson and murder, 5 dead. So yeah, you might say, well, okay, that's over the span of a lot of time, and that's Japan. That's far away. It's very likely that the country doesn't really exist. Okay, let's go. Las Vegas Strip mass stabbing. This is December 2022. 2 killed, at least 17 others injured. Oh, that's another Japan mass stabbing. Sorry. But that is, yeah, that's updated 6 a.m. today. So that's likely not even in that Wikipedia article. 10 dead, 15 hospitalized in Canada mass stabbing attack. Mass stabbing in U.S. high school, 20 injured. Moscow, not that Moscow, and it's Idaho, Moscow. I don't know why we have a Moscow here. Mass stabbing investigation, November 2022. Oh, never mind. Sunday, November 13th this year. And that was just the first page of search results on Google, of all places, for mass stabbings. So the only reason you think that if we remove guns from the equation, violence will stop is because you're a fucking sheep and, well, you get your information through mainstream media.
I kind of like turned around on that. I thought that,
You know what? Good on you. I will take back only the insult part of what I've commented on this particular person, because they took stock of the information they have and they used it to adjust their opinions. That is very healthy. I applaud that. Good on you, Chad move.
there's always going to be somebody out there that's armed, and it would be good to also be armed.
Based, yes, exactly. Well, that was one of the reasons I got a firearm initially, is because it's merely parity of firepower. Your average criminal element is very likely to be armed, and it is only a logical conclusion that I should be proportionally armed or better.
What miss? Hey, 3 hits is still progress.
Okay, 6 shots. None of them hit the iron. Let's check the distance. No, you don't get one more run. Let's check the distance. I'm gonna say that's 7 yards, 10 yards. Seriously? Dude, you have a red dot. Like, you have a red dot on your gun. How the fuck do you miss from 10 yards? How do you achieve that? I'm genuinely curious. He's not anticipating recoil. I didn't see a lot of issues with his grip as much of it as I could see. I'm gonna guess that he has the same bad habit of using the optic to cycle the slide. So his optic just has bad zero on it. So yeah, my dudes, please work on your grip strength. Don't be like that.
Let me get one more. Let me get one more run. No, 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 no. That was my warm up.
Look at him fucking prance. Seriously, like, Oh yes, the boogeyman, the power word of the left. Worse than Pearl Harbor and 9/11 put together.
Since January 6th, I kind of had an increased interest in finding out like where the right wing is going.
That's an interesting subject to be interested in, especially since the right wing had nothing to do with it, and the event was most likely caused by FBI instigators, and the only casualty was one person on the side of the protesters, Ashley Babbitt. Never forget, never forgive.
In the country. Project Cerberus was started to document and store information and publicly accessible data about far right-wing and right-wing hate groups. So that
I would like to see that database. I tried searching for Project Cerberus. It is nowhere to be found, at least on the surface level.
we can let members of our community and aligned groups know who's out there, know the language that they're using, and know what they're doing. This is a
Okay, but you're not making this information public?
picture that was publicly
Also, yes, of course he's a Mac user. Of course he is.
posted on their Instagram account.
Who's they, though?
This patch is what's called a Totenkopf, which is the actual symbol of the 3rd Panzer Division.
That is not wrong.
Of the SS. So these are Nazi special forces soldiers from World War II. That's the symbol they used.
Wait, they're not special forces. They're a Panzer Division. No, special forces are a different thing.
Being worn on and publicly displayed on people who claim to be active duty law enforcement.
Who are these people that claim to be active duty law enforcement while sporting the Totenkopf? Can you please post sauce for this? Just tell me who they are. You're pointing at a photo. I have no frame of reference outside of it's some dude standing in kit with a Nazi patch on it, and yes, that is a Nazi patch. Justify it all you want. You can be an edgy boy and troll people about it, but it's what it is. Yes, it's the I think it's the 2nd Panzer Division insignia when it's worn on a shield like that with a skull and crossbones styled specifically like that. So yeah, please tell me. Let me know in the comments which alleged right-wing group sports that. And if you do, and if I find that photo, then yes, I will agree with you that these particular people are assholes and retards because they sport actual Nazi accoutrement. But this has reminded me of something very interesting because Totenkopfs are very popular in a certain part of the world. And no, I'm not talking about Palestine, despite the fact that Mein Kampf is the most translated book into Arabic. But that's a conversation we can have at a different time. But here we can see Zellybelly being surrounded by people who have a different style of Totenkopf, but it's very much the Totenkopf on their kit. I'm not saying that the Ukrainians are unique in sporting that particular piece of equipment, but yeah, that's the Russian proxy state. That's their flag, and that is another Totenkopf. So yeah, it's not a good look. So you might want to direct your attention to that particular part of the world, and that includes looking into the Azov battalion, because they are a very colorful and ideologically diverse bunch, to put it lightly.
Active duty special operations, and these people are out in the world providing training to people.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. So I tried image searching this particular screen grab, and it came up as nothing. So until I see evidence of the contrary, I'm going to go ahead and say that you chuckle fucks ordered a patch, put it on someone's kit, took a photo of that person standing in a range that does look a little bit like the place you train. So, yeah, not great. And I have a very hard time believing that any active military or veterans, especially in the US, would be sporting Nazi memorabilia. We have decayed morally recently, but not to that extent.
They tried to defend themselves and say that, oh, it's not a Nazi symbol, but it's important to understand that when you catch people doing right-wing things and Nazi things, that they will find a way to massage it. But if you go Google a Totenkopf yourself, you can be the judge of what that symbol is.
Interestingly enough, Wikipedia, because it's become a leftist trash fire, lists the Punisher skull as a Totenkopf variant now. Literal clown world. But yeah, sure, if someone is wearing the SS 2nd Panzer Division insignia on them, please name and shame.
Seeing other groups doing stuff like this, it's a reminder that history's not over. And all I know is that I don't want to face it alone.
Okay, platitudes.
So knowing that there are people out there who think like that, who feel like that, who would
Ooh, a Democrat flag.
think of me in this way, I just want to make sure that I'm backing up my friends, I'm making my friends safer, and that they're making me safer.
For those of you who aren't in the know, Hillary Clinton used to entertain very close ties with confirmed members of the Ku Klux Klan. And as I say that, I would like to state that I am in no way contemplating suicide.
Yo, what's up, my boy?
Nah, I was just wondering if you were still good for this shit.
Yeah, bro.
I'm gonna be a little late because I'm about to dip right now. I'll be there, bro.
Yeah, no worries, man. I'll be there soon, and I'll just see you when you get in.
Again, the dude drives a Lexus. Lexuses are the premier Toyota brand, so it's a very upmarket car. Are you supposed to be working class, my friend? Are you sure about that? Dude with a 2-screen setup, 2 separate MacBooks, Gucci'd out AR-15s, the funds to run this organization, I'm gonna assume out of pocket, maybe out of a trust fund. You are the 1%. And I'm not talking out of being jealous. Like, I come from wealth. I am independently, I'm going to say upper middle class right now through my own efforts. I have a good paying job, and still, I struggle to buy as many firearms as I would like and keep them fed.
Actually, I'm not gonna name this one because this is my beginner rifle. Yeah. Still, I feel like there's a lot you can learn on a beginner
Please don't name your firearms. It's cringe.
rifle. But my next one, gonna get it like silver chromed out. I'll give that one a name.
So a Cerakote on a long gun costs around $300, just for reference. Silver chrome, I'm gonna assume, costs double that.
Make sure that the slide goes forward. We're gonna push down on this mechanism here with our thumbs. So push. Yeah, that's how you lock the slide forward. You're gonna keep your hand pushed all the way up into this.
I'm not gonna cast judgment, but it is highly suspect for me that a grown-ass man doesn't know how to operate a firearm and doesn't know the basic controls.
Lip here. And to get around against the chamber, you'll pull back on the optic.
No, you do not pull on the fucking optic. The optic is emergency leverage only. Develop grip strength of an adult. Be able to pinch the serrations on the slide. It is literally serrated. It has the markings of the places you're supposed to pull.
So, release that again. Like here. Cool.
Also, that looks like a maybe it's a 43X. I'm not quite sure from this distance, but yeah, okay, 43X because it has a shorter slide. it's not exactly convenient to use the front serrations because if you have meatier hands like I do, you're very much exposed to catching your hand in the slide when it cycles. However, there are the back serrations that you can also use.
Nice. Dude, you got the hang of it.
Oh,
Nice.
man. Appreciate it, dog.
Look at this. Education.
Easy.
I wouldn't call that education.
They always smile right after, like, wait a minute.
Yeah, because guns are fun.
It's like typing a key.
So my man, that arm to torso ratio is embarrassing.
This was like the first.
I can bet money none of these people lift. Maybe the tall gentleman, like he seems to have a physically adequate physique. The rest of them, I bet, cannot bench 225.
Gone to a range and like not had a second thought, but like I'm trans, so I was a girl until 6 months ago. I was a brown girl in Texas trying to go to a gun range.
And who the fuck was stopping you? Please point to the person who wouldn't let a brown woman onto the range. Also, you're bigging it up. Like you're hella fucking pale. I'm gonna say that. Okay, I'm a bad example because I'm bright red, but that looks very fair-skinned to me.
It's knowing that there are other people who are capable of ensuring your safety with you in a broader sense. Exactly. Someone's following you home. Someone's road raging behind you, following you home. Instead of stopping, instead of panicking, you drive to the nearest person in your network.
Okay, that is healthy advice, but you could also go to a cop. Because if people want to start shit, they typically don't want to do that in front of cops. And then you call someone in your network and have them, reinforce you, and then you go to a safe location.
And they have your back. That's what like makes you safer, even on the days where you're not carrying. You don't
See, this dude has like a normal neck size, so I'm gonna assume that he lifts. Like he's off my shit list.
feel like carrying. You're going to some place where it's just not right to carry.
A lot of trans women were being murdered in 2020, and the number is even higher this year.
I would like to see sources for those stats.
When someone is at a bar and hitting on them, but you feel like it's really uncomfortable and they're probably picking up on the fact that you're trans, you call me before something gets bad.
And you will do what?
Because you can't call the...
I'm sorry, it comes off as mean, but let's please inject ourselves into situations where we can contribute positively. Because by the looks of it, you are a 5-0 manlet, and also, yes, welcome to being a man and being shamed for your height and physique and the fact that you don't lift. And what the fuck are you gonna do?
The cops at that point, because what are you calling them for? I think this guy's gonna get violent.
You are calling the cops because someone is following you and harassing you? You could technically claim assault at any point as a woman, and the cops will come and investigate. Like, what the fuck? That's not a real thing.
When he realizes that I have a penis, like, that's a conversation that cops don't want to have either, you know?
Wait, I'm confused. Which, wait, what the fuck? But...
Like, that's something that they get incredibly uncomfortable by. That's something that they could hurt someone for.
What the fuck? Please point me to a case when the police were called and they hurt someone because they were a trap.
This is something that I actually do need to learn about. You know, it's like we're getting to that stage in life where it's like I want to be safer, I want to be able to protect my friends.
My dude, please distance yourself as far from these chuckle fucks as possible and learn from people who actually have a clue.
I want to be able to have some knowledge to where I can use these skills if I need to, if that situation arises. So,
like, again, I agree with the sentiment. It is correct. Get training, hone your skills, train every day, carry every day, learn from good sources. These are not good sources. These people do not instill good practices. There's a plethora of agencies that will train you for money. Generally, it's within the price range of a reasonable firearm. So it's not unreasonable to expect you to save up if you can't pay out of pocket. Also, financing options are a thing. That's why we have credit cards, Credova, and whatever the fuck else.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well. It was a great experience. Thank you for having me out here, man. It means a lot to me. Yeah.
For sure. We're gonna get this locked in. Get some rest.
Yeah,
Please.
for sure.
Everything else.
We're going the same way.
Yeah.
All
All right.
Good to see you again.
Bye.
We don't make lightly of the ability to, you know, injure other people, and we don't talk about life as if it has no meaning. We
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna agree with that sentiment.
always remind people that it should be a last line of defense. It's such like a somber decision.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that it's more of a judgment than a decision. Like, that's just my personal point of view, but I say the moment you become violent with me, you have forfeited your right to live. I'm gonna drop you like a bag of shit if you attempt to hurt me, and I'm not gonna be selective about the means of doing so. Also,
Like
just a
somber
second,
decision.
sorry. This is the first time he's in frame with like a plate carrier, so you can see the survival weight that he's carrying.
My BMI is above average.
That was something. If you have any hot takes, if you have any answers to some of the questions that I have asked, feel free to leave a comment. And other than that, make sure to like and subscribe. And this has been Onii-san Explains. Stay frosty.
We can't tell you they is, can we?